Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. And behind me you see my assistant, Jules. Library Connections number 58. This is the Friday, June 25th, 2021 edition of Library Connections. And at this point in Library Connections, I usually put up the top 5 fiction and nonfiction bestsellers for the week. And I can't do that this week because the new lists come out on Thursday, and I am going on vacation. By the time you see this video, I will have been on vacation for the week. So I can't put the New York Times bestseller list in this presentation because I'm recording it early. And you can think of the bestsellers as having gone on vacation with me, and the list will be back next week. If you wish to access them in the meantime, of course, you can just go to nytimes.com, click on Arts. The link is near the top of the page, and then click on Books. They make the book lists available to everyone for free, so just FYI. And as you may remember from last week, we did Special Summer Reading Edition Part 1. This week I'm doing Special Summer Reading Edition Part 2. I'm going to highlight 10 more books for your summer reading enjoyment. And the first suggestion is the book Don't Breathe a Word by Jordan Taylor. With its boarding school setting and intertwined pair of timelines, this solid novel by Taylor calls to mind the Truly Devious series. The narrator of the present-day thread is Manhattanite Eva, who recently started as a junior at upstate New York's Tony Hardwick Preparatory Academy. Eager to make friends, Eva is thrilled when she's tapped to join the Fives, a secret society, and she vows to do what it takes to become a part of the glamorous crowd. Back in 1962, timid Connie, 16, is persuaded to join an experiment dreamed up by Hardwick's charismatic new faculty member, Mr. Krauss. To test a program that Mr. Krauss says will prepare people for the reality of life after a nuclear attack, Connie and 5 other students, including her crush Craig, spend 4 days of spring break locked in the school's fallout shelter. Through their chatty first-person narratives, Eva and Connie, both white, neatly convey their contrasting personalities and eras, while revealing their growing uneasiness with the respective situations. As the novel's pace accelerates, ratcheting up the tension, the connections between the 2 girls' stories become ever clearer. A persuasive argument for the virtues of questioning groupthink and looking beyond glittering surfaces. And that is the publisher's weekly review. Our second summer reading recommendation is the new novel, The Drowning Kind, by Jennifer McMahon. Jax, a clinical social worker, has convinced herself that estrangement from her older sister, Lexi, is a boundary-setting necessity, and it's completely unrelated to Jax's jealousy over Lexi inheriting Sparrow Crest, their family home. But when Lexi drowns in Sparrow Crest's spring-fed pool, Jax is overcome with regret that she ignored Lexi's desperate phone calls the night she died. Lexi's house is littered with notes, chronicling her obsessive investigation into local legends, warning that the pool's healing miracles are repaid with the spirits of those it lures to their deaths. As she works through the evidence of Lexi's final days, Jax tries to trust her clinical mind, as it tells her that sleep deprivation is what is creating the hair-raising sounds of Lexi's voice that she hears, and also the glimpses she sees of a strange woman lounging poolside. But then she discovers an unsettling connection between Lexi's death and the Jazz Age resort, whose ruins are buried beneath Sparrow Crest. A streamlined supernatural thriller built on gifted storytelling and the atmosphere of a fireside ghost tale, woven with strands of longing and regret. And that sounds like the perfect ghost-like summer read for adults. Definitely going on my reading list. Our third summer reading recommendation for this week is the new Kathy Wang novel, Impostor Syndrome. Wang leavens this glossy tale of corporate espionage with savvy takes on cultural assimilation in contemporary America. Julia Lerner, plucked from a Russian orphanage by intelligence agent Leo Guskov, has been groomed to infiltrate Silicon Valley in the form of the social media giant Tangerine. Julia's rise to COO, a position that gives her access to sensitive data on Tangerine's billions of users, sounds an alarm for Alice Liu, a Chinese-American member of Tangerine's staff, who is mortified to discover that a data breach that she flags in the company's system is linked to Julia's private account. Julia and Alice's pas-de-deux drives the plot and gives Wang ample space to reflect on modern corporate attitudes toward gender, ethnicity, and the American dream's appeal to socially disadvantaged members of minority groups and to foreign nationals who, in this case, work to undermine the very country whose values and opportunities they are eager to embrace. The story builds to a number of dramatic moments that happen off stage, somewhat diminishing the dramatic impact. But Wang's depictions of office politics and geopolitical dynamics are spot on. This offers plenty of grist for a reader rumination, and that is the Publisher's Weekly Review. Our fourth summer reading recommendation for this week is the new Alex Michaelides novel, The Maidens. London psychotherapist Mariana Andros, the protagonist of this stunning psychological thriller from Michaelides, suspends her patients' group therapy to rush to Cambridge University to comfort her niece Zoe, whose best friend, Tara Hampton, has been murdered. Mariana soon focuses on the charming, handsome Edward Fosca, a Greek tragedy professor who has assembled a secret society of female students known as the Maidens that included Tara. Mariana's obsession to prove Edward guilty of murder is tinged with her all-consuming grief over the death of her husband Sebastian a year before, and her protectiveness of Zoe, whom she raised after the young woman's parents died. Her investigation intensifies when two more of the maidens are murdered, but the police and Zoe dismiss her theories. The intelligent cerebral plot finds contemporary parallels in Euphrides' tragedies, Jacobean dramas such as The Duchess of Malfoy, and Tennyson's poetry. The devastating ending shows just how little the troubled Mariana knows about the human psyche or herself. Michaelides is on a roll, and that is the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. Our fifth summer reading recommendation for this week is the new Jean Korelitz novel, The Plot. Hailed as breathtakingly suspenseful, Jean Korelitz's The Plot is a propulsive read about a story too good not to steal, and the writer who steals it. Jacob Finch Bonner was once a promising young novelist with a respectably published first book. Today, he's teaching in a third-rate MFA program and struggling to maintain what's left of his self-respect. He hasn't written, let alone published, anything decent in years. When Evan Parker, his most arrogant student, announces he doesn't need Jake's help because the plot of his book in progress is a sure thing. Jake is prepared to dismiss the boast as typical amateur narcissism. But then he hears the plot. Jake returns to the downward trajectory of his career and braces himself for the supernova publication of Evan Parker's first novel. But it never comes. When he discovers that his former student has died, presumably without ever completing his book, Jake does what any self-respecting writer would do with a story like that, a story that absolutely needs to be told. In a few short years, all of Evan Parker's predictions have come true, but Jake is the author enjoying the wave. He is wealthy, famous, praised, and read all over the world. But at the height of his glorious new life, an email arrives. The first salvo in a terrifying, anonymous campaign. "You are a thief," it says. As Jake struggles to understand his antagonist and hide the truth from his readers and his publishers, he begins to learn more about his late student, and what he discovers both amazes and terrifies him. Who was Evan Parker? And just how did he get the idea for his sure thing of a novel? What is the real story behind the plot? And just who stole it from whom? We'll all have to read the book to find out. And that is the book list review. And our sixth summer reading recommendation is the new novel by Bill Clinton and James Patterson, The President's Daughter. Every detail is accurate because one of the authors is President Bill Clinton. The drama and action never stop because the other author is James Patterson. Matthew Keating, a one-time Navy SEAL and a past president, has always defended his family as staunchly as he has his country. Now those defenses are under attack. A madman abducts Keating's teenage daughter Melanie, turning every parent's deepest fear into a matter of national security. As the world watches in real time, Keating embarks on a one-man special ops mission that tests his strengths as a leader, a warrior, and a father. The author's first collaboration, The President is Missing, a #1 New York Times bestseller and the #1 best-selling novel of 2018, was praised as ambitious and widely readable by the New York Times, and as a fabulously entertaining thriller by Pulitzer Prize-winning author Ron Chernow. So the new James Patterson and Bill Clinton book, The President's Daughter, is out now. Summer reading recommendation 7 for this week is the new Riley Sager novel, Survive the Night. In 1991, Charlie, grief-stricken over the murder of her close friend, a victim of the so-called campus killer, accepts a ride to Ohio from Josh, a fellow student at Olympiad University. But soon, she begins to suspect that Josh may not be telling the complete truth about himself. Is it possible that Charlie could be sitting in the passenger seat beside the campus killer? Sager's latest thriller has two big things going for it: richly textured characters and a story that absolutely refuses to follow a straight line, producing one startling revelation after another. Charlie, who was named after the heroine in Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt, must take a page out of her namesake's book, subtly sparring with Josh as she attempts to determine if her fears about him are justified. Sager has been turning out one fine thriller after another since Final Girls, his 2017 breakout novel, and this one just might be his best yet. It's certainly his most complex, and that is the Booklist review. Our 8th summer reading recommendation for this week is the novel Tonight is Already Tomorrow by Leah Levi. The stories the characters tell one another in Tonight is Already Tomorrow are the kind that could prove fatal. Mark Ryman is a prosperous jeweler in 1930s Genoa, nominally Jewish, but less concerned with religion than with his wife's annoying insistence that their young son is an intellectual prodigy. Even as the fascist regime imposes more and more restrictions, the Rymans cling to their domestic concerns, making excuses and trying to adapt. Mark's wife is particularly persuasive, arguing that everyone knows they make laws in Italy, so they can try them out for a bit and then let them die a quiet death. Levi eloquently describes the daily tightening of the fascist noose. Schools close. Businesses are shuttered. Refugees pour into Genoa, fleeing the Reich. There are tension-filled conferences with the Rymans' extended family. Adjustments are made, then more adjustments. Then comes internment. Then what? Measures against Jews continue to drop on their heads slowly, at irregular intervals, like the first few heavy drops of a rain heralding a storm. They found themselves soaked to the bone without realizing they were getting wet. And that is the New York Times review of the title. If you like historical fiction, that's a good one. Our 9th summer reading recommendation for this week is in the sci-fi fantasy vein, more sci-fi than fantasy. It's called We Are Satellites. It's the new novel by Sarah Pinksker. If everyone else is doing it, why shouldn't you? This is the question asked by one family, Val and Julie, and their children David and Sophie, when the brain-enhancing device called a pilot is introduced to the world. First comes David, a teen struggling at school and wanting to keep up with his friends. Then Julie, as her colleagues at the congressional office each get one. But Val and Sophie are left behind, by choice for Val, and because Sophie's seizures will not allow it. As society integrates pilot with subsidies, the divide becomes more clear. What happens when decisions begin to pull at the woven family structure? As David enlists in the army, and Sophie becomes an anti-pilot leader. There is always another side to the coin, and the answers are ones that many will go to great lengths to hide. Verdict: Pinksker's meticulous research and melodious prose bring readers to the heart of a family and the challenges of societal expectations, technology, and the desire to advance without fully understanding the consequences. And that is the Starred Library Journal Review. And our 10th summer reading recommendation for this week is the Roy Jacobson novel, White Shadow. It's just been published in the United States. The highly anticipated sequel to International Booker and Dublin Impact Award shortlisted, The Unseen. No one can be alone on an island, but Ingrid is alone on Barre, the island that bears her name, and the war of her childhood has been replaced by a new, more terrible present, the Nazi occupation of Norway. When the bodies from a bombed vessel carrying Russian prisoners of war begin to wash up on the shore, Ingrid can't know that one will not only be alive, but could be the answer to a lifetime of loneliness. Nor can she imagine what suffering she will endure in hiding her lover from the German authorities, or the journey she will face after being wrenched from her island as consequence for protecting him to return home. Or especially that, surrounded by the horrors of battle, among refugees fleeing famine and scorched earth, she will receive a gift, the value of which is beyond measure. The highly anticipated follow-up to Roy Jacobson's International Booker and Dublin Impact Award shortlisted title, The Unseen, that's a mouthful, try saying that 10 times fast, Booker and Dublin Impact Award shortlisted, The Unseen. The prequel to this is The Unseen. That about says it, and I'm digressing. A New York Times and noteworthy book, The Unseen, of course, White Shadow, which is volume 2 in this series, is a vividly observed exploration of conflict, love, and human endurance. And on a reader's note, the prequel to this novel, the previously mentioned several times, The Unseen, is available for instant checkout through Hoopla and also as an ebook if you'd like to request it through the digital catalog. Page 1 of 2 of our available formats for each book in this presentation. This is as of today. Of course, some of these books may very well become available in additional formats since they are all new releases. And our second page, I just thought the photo there of summer fun reading was fun. If you have questions about this weekly video cast, let me know. Send an email to me at reimerl stls.org, and I'll get back to you. On a library hours note, the Southeast Bend County Library has recently changed its hours. We are now open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are currently closed on Sundays. The library's website is found at ssclibrary.org. You can access a whole host of information through our website, including our calendar of events and the online versions of our catalogs. StarCat and the BookMine app. StarCat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System, which encompasses the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can find StarCat online at starcat.stls.org, or you can download the BookMine app, which is basically StarCat in app form, and you can download it to your mobile device and access the catalog at your convenience through your mobile device. The digital catalog and its companion apps Libby and Overdrive. The digital catalog features eBooks, downloadable audiobooks, magazines, and a handful of streaming videos. Also of note, you can check out eBooks through the digital catalog and enjoy them on your dedicated e-reader, like the Kindle Paperwhite. For mobile devices, you download the Libby or Overdrive app. The Libby app is for newer devices, and the Overdrive app is for older devices and Kindle tablets. Additionally of note, the digital catalog is found online at stls.overdrive.com, so you can enjoy content from the digital catalog on a computer if you wish. Content in the digital catalog is available for all card holders within the Southern Tier Library System. Hoopla! The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Bend County Library card holders with a maximum of 6 checkouts per month. You can download the Hoopla app to your mobile device, video streaming player, or smart TV, or you can go online to hoopladigital.com and check out materials on your computer and enjoy them through your desktop or laptop computer. Communicating with the library. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic, or really at any time, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. Our phone number is area code 607-936-3713. Again, that's area code 607-936-3713. You can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs. We have our Book Club for Adults blog found at ssclbook.club, and as you might expect, that features information on the monthly Book Club for Adults. We have the Corning NY History blog, which is our local history blog found at corningnyhistory.com. That features weekly postings that show photos of the area back in the day. And Creation Stationery, the Makerspace blog found at creationstationery.com. That's a complimentary blog for our Makerspace. We have the Story Musings blog, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells. That can be found at storymusing.blogspot.com. And finally, Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog with occasional helpful how-to tech tips thrown in for good measure, and that's found at sscltech.com. And here are our references for this week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections. Have a great week.